That's right. It's Monday night. Sports on the Hill podcast, True Radio Network, coming to you live from the lab. Another great episode talking Nats, talking NBA, NHL, and whatever else we might get into tonight. Always bringing you the best coverage around. You get it nowhere else. It's been a rough day for me, so we're going to go ahead and get this show underway because it was a long day. If you tuned in last night, they had the bar radio. We had a wild show that went to almost past midnight. So, yeah, I've been on the radio a lot the last 2 days. So, Robbie G, how you doing today, good sir?
I am also very, very tired. I didn't get in until 2 o'clock in the morning. Long, lots of delays. The airline said that I was going to miss my flight. Turns out the flight I was on was the airplane for the next one. So I woke Zach up in a hurry to have to wait to then get back on that same airplane. It was a crazy day. At least we got home. There were times where they're like, "You've already missed your flight." I'm like, "But we're already sitting on that airplane." So anyway, but I got home 2 in the morning. It all worked out. Went to work today. It sucked it up, but I'm happy to be doing podcasting with you now, and the day is over. And some really exciting stuff in the sports world we'll talk about tonight. We'll talk about this Nats game, which unfortunately they just gave up a run, but the Nats are looking really good in this game. It's actually the first Nats game I've been able to watch live in over a week since I was in Texas. And then this Cup final game, Carroll said he turned it on for one moment, and Tampa Bay scored right away. It was a beautiful goal. We'll break that down, and then how the teams got here into the Cup final in the second half of this first hour, and then We'll bring in the NBA Roundtable, and we'll have Brian and the rest of the team come on, and we'll talk about the Eastern Conference Finals and the Western Conference Finals, and project a little ahead to how we think that the NBA Finals will look. But yeah, lots of fun and exciting stuff. My trip was amazing to Texas. You and Brian and Arun crushed it last week. I was happy to see. I actually watched it and tuned in from Texas, and so thank you guys so much for that. And tomorrow I'll be actually releasing a vlog video, music video about my trip on my Facebook page, and also my personal one, and on my YouTube channel. So check that out tomorrow around noon. But yeah, Carol, how are you doing? And what are your thoughts on so far the Nats have done this week?
I'm doing pretty good. Out there in that sun trying to sell some cars, you know how it is. The Nationals, I'm definitely loving what I'm seeing from this team. We spoke last week when Brian was on about the addition of Gerardo Parra back to the team, and he helped create that spark back in 2019. And along with Kyle Schwarber and Parra and Josh Bell's been playing pretty well also. Even Starlin Castro, they're starting to step up, starting to hit timely hitting. The pitching has been, you know, pretty stellar for the most part for the last week and a half. The starters have been giving them at least a good 6 innings, and the bullpen has been holding leads, and the offense has been getting timely hitting. The series against the Phillies was a very interesting game too. We're going to break down. Well, it was an interesting series all in all. I know Brian can't wait to talk about the first game of that series. But I'm definitely loving the Nats. Like I said, when in 2019, when they were 19 games under 500, I still say this team is a quality team that can get things going in the right direction, and they still have injuries to Strasburg and one of their top pitchers, and they're still putting them together. We have some inconsistencies on the starting rotation with Ross and Lester, which I'm definitely going to talk about Lester because yeah, I'm having some concerns about him and quality of his innings that he's putting up and the hole that he's putting his team in when he's on the mound. But all in all, I mean, with the Schwarber addition and putting him at the leadoff spot, that I said last week, I don't think anyone understood that, but I guess once again, Davey has proven his baseball knowledge and wisdom is far reaching and far beyond what we can grasp sometimes.
Yeah, well, let's bring Brian in, and you guys can break down some of the earlier games of the week, and then I can talk about this game more specifically because I've watched it. I only got to see some of the stats in the other ones, so I'll just give my general thoughts after each series on that. But how are you doing, Brian?
I'm doing great, guys. How are you guys doing tonight?
Good.
Hey man, we doing great. Nats up 5-1. Trey at the plate, looking to go get to 500 tonight. So yeah, I'm feeling pretty good, man.
Yeah, Robbie was saying you guys have hit 4 solo home runs tonight. Is that correct?
Yeah, Schwarber has two.
Nice.
I just looked at it on the. They just showed it. I can't remember who had the other ones. Oh, Parra has won his first home run as a Nat this season.
Right. I think the last one was Trey Turner.
No Trey, yeah Trey, man, that dude is ridiculous, man. He just got on base again. I mean, I love that dude, man. Shortstop is taken care of for a while with him in the lineup, and
Yeah. And Castro singled to left and Gomes scored. That was the fifth run that just happened in the bottom of the sixth. So yeah.
I wasn't really a fan of Castro, but his hitting has definitely been better than I expected, and him at third base has actually been better than I expected. He's actually playing, I think, second tonight, but he's normally at third, and he's been playing some good third base.
I mean, I remember when we had Castro on the Yankees. I really liked Castro. I felt like he could do a lot of really good things. And when I saw that he signed with you guys, I thought that would be a good signing. And he is good at third base. When he played for us, he was mostly at second. But I've seen him at third for the Nats. And you're right, Carol. I think he plays a good third base. I think you're pretty set on the left side of your infield with Turner, obviously, and Castro now at third.
Yeah, I still miss Rendon. I was actually watching the Yankees Angels game.
Yeah, me too.
Network. So yeah, I was when I turned it on. Rendon got to the plate and hit a double as always. Tony Two Bags was his name, man.
He's still so good. He's still so good.
Yeah, man, I wish we could have kept him, but I'm looking at the guy that's going to be the next superstar. Juan Soto's at the plate right now. 0-1 count, one out, man on in the bottom of the seventh. And I'm going to go ahead and get into the weekly recap while Soto goes through this. I'm going to predict the home run on this. I'm going to just see if that happens.
Oh, I'd like that.
All right. The Nats, as I mentioned, are in second place in the National League East right now. They're 37-38. They're 7-3 in their last 10 games. They went 4-2 last week with a lovely two-game sweep of the Phillies, and I guess I can say a disappointing split with the Marlins. Even though we did speak about how the Marlins was playing some good ball, and they blew out Chicago, who was one of the hottest teams in the league last week. So we didn't want to sleep on, but they ended up splitting, which I wasn't too happy about. Robbie, we have a development in this Nats game that's going on.
It's a stolen base. Right? Yeah, sorry, yeah, because he was trying to throw to first, and basically it went off the glove and went flying, and Trey then stole second base. So it's still counted as a stolen base, even it's probably an error on the first baseman.
Yeah, it'd probably be an error because I think
Probably an error, so it doesn't count as a stolen base. Then I don't know if you get both.
gotta ask Brian that one.
So what happened exactly?
So like the ball was thrown to the first baseman to try to tag him out, and the ball deflected off the glove and went far away, so he had to run and go get it, and then Trey Turner ran to second base.
That sounds like an error actually on either the first baseman or the pitcher.
Yeah.
So it's not a stolen base.
It's not a stolen base.
Yeah.
Got it. Okay, an error. So, but it's definitely due to Trey's speed, though. But even though it's not a stolen base, so yeah.
Yep.
Always worried about Trey.
Yeah.
Trey is sick on the bases, man. He's a quality player, 5'2" player, man. He does it all. He can do it all. I hoping they lock him up soon for a long-term deal because, yeah, we got him out there. I have no worries about that infield. But let's go ahead and get into the matchups from last week. The two-game sweep of the Phillies. First game of the series, the Nats won 3-2. Mad Max was on the mound. He won the game to put him at 6-4. He went 5 innings, giving up 2 hits, 1 earned run with 8 strikeouts and 3 walks. Zach Wheeler took the loss. That dropped him to 5-4. He lasted 3 innings, giving up 6 hits, 3 earned runs with 4 strikeouts and 1 walk. Brad Hand earned the save, his 16th of the season. He went 1 in the third innings, giving up 3 hits, no earned runs with a strikeout and a walk. No walks. I'm sorry. Jan Gomes went 2 for 4 with 2 RBI singles for both, and then Josh Bell went 1 for 4 with the RBI single to account for all the runs. And the second game was a wild 13-12 win But before we get there, because that game was so wild, I think we should break both of these down singles. I know Brian definitely wants to talk about the first game of this series with they've implemented this substance, if a pitcher, they feel like a pitcher has a substance on his hands or on his person that's helping him, you know, control the ball or kind
Sticky
of
stuff is what they
sticky
call
stuff.
it,
Yeah,
Carol.
sticky
Sticky
stuff.
stuff.
The technical term is sticky stuff. And he had been checked after the first inning. He had been checked after the second inning. And then after watching the game, Girardi's excuse for having them to check him in the middle of the third inning after he just struck out one of his guys is because he said he had seen Max pitch so many times that he had never seen him rub his hands through his hair so much. So he felt like he had something, in his hair that was helping him, strike people out. So Mad Max was already upset the two times he had to do it. And then now you're interrupting his flow. And at the time, no one understood why all of a sudden he would do that. And then I'll let Brian finish the rest, as I know he wants to go into it as a ex Yankees manager because that was a very interesting situation.
Yeah, I mean, well, I always liked Girardi. Obviously, he played for the Yankees and helped the Yankees win World Series. And then he was the manager of the 2009 team that also won the World Series. So I always liked Girardi. But this was, in my opinion, I felt he crossed the line, honestly, in doing this. And Scherzer, in my opinion, had every right to be pissed after you check him two times already. And he's completely clean. What do you think you're going to possibly find the third time? And I don't buy Girardi's excuse either that he thought Scherzer was rubbing his head too many times. It just seemed like to me he was trying to throw him off his game. It didn't work. We saw when Scherzer came off the mound, he visibly, with both colored eyes, stared right at Joe Girardi, gave him like a death stare. And that led to a whole other thing where the Nats bench was kind of yelling at the Phillies bench and yelling at Girardi. Kevin Long, who's the Nationals hitting coach, used to be Girardi's hitting coach when he was with the Yankees. And Kevin Long, they work together. They're friends and former coworkers. And Kevin Long was yelling at Girardi, and Girardi yelled back, "You want to go, K Long? You want to go?" Like he was. They would sound like I remember seeing it at the time, and I hadn't really gotten all the information yet, so I kind of felt like it looked like Girardi was trying to fight Scherzer, honestly.
Yeah,
but that's what we all thought at first, right? That's what we all thought. But it turns out it was Kevin Long, who's the Nationals hitting coach now. And it's crazy. This is stupid. I just want to make this clear. This is the dumbest thing ever. This whole crackdown on sticky stuff and just like a constant checking that's going on throughout baseball. It's not just Max Scherzer. Garrett Cole got checked 3 times in his start that same day. Jacob deGrom got checked. Like all these pitchers who are great pitchers are getting checked for sticky stuff constantly now. It is stupid. Major League Baseball needs to figure out a way to handle this and make it like check it maybe one time like before the game. And if I don't know why they need to check so many times. Like what do you think you're gonna find the second time or the third time that you don't find the first time? I don't know. But it was a crazy situation. Like I said, I like Girardi because of his time as a Yankee player and as the Yankee manager, but I am definitely on Max Scherzer's side on this one. I think it's completely ridiculous. And I'm also on Mike Rizzo's side, too, who had some really strong words for Girardi. I mean, Mike Rizzo called Joe Girardi a con artist. I mean, holy shit. Like, what? That's crazy. Like, that's such a strong statement from Mike Rizzo. So,
Rizzo doesn't make waves. He's very rarely in the news. Like
I know, he's a quiet guy, and
right.
This is like the craziest thing ever. I swear, but I'm on Max's side, like you guys. I think Max is ridiculous. He has every right to be pissed, honestly, and Major League Baseball's got to handle this.
I was pissed when I saw this. This is the only thing I really saw about the Nationals last week, because I was away. And when I watched, the confrontations go back and forth, and I agree, I thought it was going to be that he was yelling at Max at first. I was like, that's ridiculous. But then John Boy Media, shout out to him, does a great breakdown of this. And holy cow, he really wanted to fight, his former bench guy, so it's like, that's crazy to me. I mean, I know he's trying to fire up his team, and I thought that was actually going to work for them in the second game in that series. But
it almost did.
It almost did, and that game was a crazy back and forth.
Crazy.
So
Yeah, that game was
I'll let
nuts.
Carol give his final thoughts on this, and then we'll get into that game, because I can't believe we came back 3 different times. You know, that's crazy.
It just reminds you of the 2019 team that, it was never, too late in the game for them to get a rally going and find a way to win late in the game. So it was a classic Philly Nats game, with the whole confrontation and thing. It was hilarious to me because, like you said, after the second time, then you're going to actually interrupt the inning to do it. I was like, yeah, that's just too much. He's trying to.
I just want to say my favorite part was when Max offered to take off his belt, and the umpires
Yeah,
were like, "No, you
like,
don't
"You're
have
about
to do
trip."
that." Yeah, I know.
Well,
Right?
and then other pitchers started to do that move too later,
Yes.
and one of them actually did start to drop
Sergio Romo, yeah,
right,
from the A's, yeah,
right. But it's just like, how do you get to that point where it's like you're driving, and then they have to go through the sweaty hair? When John Boy was talking about that, like now
Yes.
these poor umpires have to go through the sweaty hair to try to figure out if he put a chemical in there. I mean, that's
so dumb.
just,
I mean, one thing I did see is that I didn't even notice until I saw the stat the other day that there's been 7 no-hitters already, which is tied for the most ever in the season. So I'm guessing they're thinking that the hitting isn't getting that bad, or the pitching isn't that good.
But
that
didn't they change the balls though? I heard
They
that
did.
had.
They
So
did. They
why don't they
de-juiced the
blame
balls.
that, not the pitchers? I don't know.
They're checking the Mets pitcher now as he's going off the mat.
It's so dumb. It's so dumb. Everybody's getting checked. It's not just Max Scherzer. I want to make this clear. It is not just Max Scherzer. It is every pitcher. Like the other day, I'll give you an example. Yesterday, Garrett Cole pitched terribly at Fenway. He gave up 4 runs in the first inning, and they still checked him when he walked off the mound. And I was like, did you just see how he pitched? Do you really think he's cheating? Like, come on.
And Brian, all this time they're trying to increase the pace of play in this game, and now you're going to add this to it. There's no way that this is.
It's not going to last. It will not last. I'm telling you, they're going to find a better. They have to find a better way. This is ridiculous.
Things were going.
Yeah, it's so dumb. And all I can say is I haven't seen too many umpires pull what Girardi pulled, where they're telling umpires to go check a pitcher. I haven't seen too much of that. It just seems to be umpires checking pitchers. We actually did have somebody get caught yesterday for the Seattle Mariners. And he's currently facing a 10-game suspension without pay for getting caught. And they're currently what the plan is they're going to examine his glove. He claims it's just rosin, but they're examining his glove. And if it comes back clean, his suspension will be dropped. But he's the first person to get caught officially since they started checking. Nobody else has been caught.
So with the suspension, is it 10 games or 10 starts?
10 games. It's 10 games.
See, that's the thing for a pitcher. That's why I'm really.
That's 2 games, basically. Yeah.
That's what I'm really trying to understand. And how is this supposed to be a severe punishment when you only miss 2 games without pay? When you're a pitcher, you only pitch every 5 days.
Yeah, exactly. It makes no sense. This whole thing is dumb.
It's like it's all for show. That's all. Like, it doesn't make sense. I can understand if it was 10 starts, but 10 games, that's 2 starts for him. That ain't nothing.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't get it, man. It's just so
the
dumb.
bullpen shows up for 2 games then for them, and they're fine.
Or they bring in another starter.
Right.
How it goes.
Right. Yeah. It's just it's so frustrating because I'm happy that more managers aren't doing this move yet, Brian. But if this rule's still allowed to go into the playoffs, that managers are going to use mind games.
Without a doubt. And
that would suck. That would suck.
I agree. It would be terrible. It would slow things down. And like Robbie said, they're trying to speed up the game, but this is going to slow it down considerably. So, yeah, I don't know. They got to come up with a better way. There's just got to be something better.
Yeah.
No doubt. All right,
let's get into the game.
Yeah, let's get into this historic 13-12 victory. And I say historic because for the first time in Major League history, both teams hit a grand slam and a 3-run home run in the same game. They said that's never happened before.
Wow, I didn't know. I did not know that.
Me neither.
The MLB Network, baby. I keep that on, man.
Nice. This
game was went back and forth. The Phillies jumped out to a 5-0 lead in the fourth. Then the next thing you know, the Nats put up 5 in the top of the fifth. Phillies answered with another 4 in the bottom of the fifth. Then the Nats said, "Hold up, you think it's going to be like that? Hold my beer." They put up 6 runs in the sixth inning to take a lead. Philly came back, took a lead, and then the Nats found the way in the top of the ninth to take the lead. And we're definitely going to break this game down. The official winner of this game was Tanner Rainey. That puts him at 1-2. He went 2/3 of the inning, giving up 2 hits, no earned runs with a strikeout and a walk. Hector Narvis, I think it is, took the loss for the Phillies. I dropped him to 1-4. He went an inning, giving up 3 hits, 2 earned runs with no strikeouts and no walks. And Paolo Espino, who earned his first major league victory last week, earned his first save of his MLB career by going 1 inning, giving up no hits, no earned runs with no strikeouts and no walks.
He started tonight, actually.
Oh, really? Started that? Yeah,
he pitched 5 good innings of shutout baseball.
Nice. Yeah, I
Good for him.
I didn't get a chance to see the first 5 innings, but that's good. Yeah, he's played in pivotal roles. When Max got hurt when he pulled his groin, he came in that situation. He's coming out of the bullpen, and now he's closed the game. So I mean, hey, 34 years old, he's got it. I guess he has enough experience. He should be used to playing any type of role as a pitcher, being in the minor leagues for that long.
But to be down 5-0, then to tie it, then to be down 4 more runs, then to take the lead with that 6-run 6th inning, and then Philly storms all the way back. They take the lead in the 8th, and then Washington puts up 2 runs. And remember, this is in Philly, so I mean that's the end right there, right? The buzzer, and then they're able to shut it down and get, as you said, get the save. And he's been playing well both in starting pitching and in save situations. So he's been a huge. It seems like we're making all the right moves, switching the lead off, being able to get some pitchers in there that are starting to actually show what they could do. And it's just been a really impressive turnaround this last couple of weeks.
Definitely. Josh Bell went 2 for 4. He's starting to get his swing back. He went in through a little slump. He went 2 for 4 with the grand slam. Kyle Schwarber, who's been ridiculous, tying major league records and such. He went 1 for 4 with a 3-run home run. And Starlin Castro, who we just spoke about, went 3 for 4 with 3 RBIs. So they're getting contributions from all over the lineup, and when needed, and in timely hitting, good defense, and above average pitching to get you far. And with this climb back into the division race and getting in the second and 1 game under 500 when they were, I believe, when we started, about 8 or 9 games under 500, and folks were concerned, and there was talk about trading Max at the trade deadline and all this and that. And I got to mention it, Brian. We talked about it the other day. Scott Boras, Max's agent, is going to have the nerve to come out and say if Max will not will not waive his no trade clause if he doesn't get an extension, as part of the deal. And we all know, especially with the Nets playing better now, the Nets aren't trading Max Scherzer. That's just ridiculous. Robbie, did you see that tweet that came out, and how do you feel about that agent trying to stir the pot, I guess?
I didn't actually see that tweet, so this is news to me. This is why we do the show. I learn stuff every time. So that's interesting, though. I don't particularly like it when agents tweet, but in general, it's rarely good for our team. But I mean, I'm happy he's not going to leave. I mean, I really want Max to be the guy going forward. I mean, I want him to retire a National. So I mean, whatever it takes to make that happen, I guess.
Yeah. Unfortunately, the Mets have just hit a 2-run home run to climb a little bit closer in the game. Is now 5-3, top of the 8th, no outs.
Oh, isn't that the guy we hit with a pitch earlier in the game? Interesting.
Nah, it was start. His last name started with a D. This is Alonzo. Was it Peter? Is it Pete Alonso, Brian?
Yeah, it's Pete Alonso.
Yeah, he had that. That's the guy that had that great rookie season and hit with like 40 home runs or something.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, he got us for another one. But it's top of the 8th. Nats, I still feel this game is still under control. because Brad Hand has been pitching better long as he isn't going against the other New York team. He's been doing pretty well closing the games out. So we can
Well,
keep it.
Arun showed up, so I wanted to ask him. Do you have any thoughts on this historic game or the series?
Yeah, it was like the first time in MLB history that there were a grand slam hit by each team and a 3-run home run hit by each team. So that was pretty cool. And I
Yeah,
tuned in at the end when the Phillies took the lead, and I thought I was like, oh, the Nats are gonna lose, and then Castro with the huge hit and put the Nats up, as Carol pointed out, and this probably was the win of the season, and it reminded everyone of the comeback like in 2019 when they went on to win the World Series, like one of those games.
right. Real quickly, I got a scoring update. I'm sorry, I got my friend Sil, who's in Twitch chat right now, who's a big Montreal fan, and unfortunately, a bad play down the side and a nice shot through a lot of traffic. I don't know if it touched the guy in front, but it's a good play. Set up originally by Kucherov, but then put in by Coleman. I don't think it touched the guy in front, but so now Tampa Bay is up 2-0 in Game 1 of the Stanley Cup.
Damn it.
Yeah, I'm sorry, Carol. We're rooting for Montreal. We're rooting for you, Sil. So hopefully they can come back. 14:04 left in the second. So if Montreal does score in this game, you'll hear the goal horn go off. So it's set to that right now. So I'm pulling for the Habs, but yeah, it's a crazy historic game for sure, as Arun was mentioning. All right, well, Carol, let's get into the next series real fast. I know we have 4 games.
Break down this split with the Marlins.
Yeah.
The first game was a 7-3 win by the Nats. Joe Ross earned the victory. That puts him at 4-7. He went 7 innings, giving up 4 hits, no earned runs with 8 strikeouts and 2 walks. Cody Poteet took the loss. That dropped him to 2-3. He went 3 innings, giving up 6 hits, 5 earned runs with 6 strikeouts and 4 walks. Schwarber stayed hot again, going 2 for 4 with a solo home run and a 3-run home run. And Juan Soto went 2 for 5 with 2 RBI doubles to help contribute to this 7-3 win. The second game of the series was a 11-2 loss. This one was ugly. I saw the beginning of this game. I thought the Nats were going to be able to bounce back, but it just wasn't the Nats' night. Pablo Lopez earned the victory. That put him at 4-4. He went 6 innings, giving up 6 hits, 2 earned runs with 9 strikeouts and 1 walk. Looks like
Oh no, that's a solo shot. Brings him within 1.
this Miller. I haven't liked this Miller guy since I've seen him come in. He hasn't really impressed me. I'm not even sure who he is. But they need to get him out of there. Where's Finnegan? Finnegan been killing him when he go in there. Where's Hudson? Come on, Dave. You get somebody one. I don't like this.
Yeah, this is getting too close for comfort. It makes it for exciting baseball talk, but I was hoping that we would just be able to.
Win that cup 5-1 lead.
Yeah, exactly. Oof.
Oh boy. All right. Let's get back to this. Get back to the recap. This game is taking a quick turn to the bad side. John Lester earned the loss because he only lasted 2 in the third, giving up 5 hits, 7 earned runs with 1 strikeout and 3 walks. Schwarber once again went 3 for 4 with the solo home run, and Ryan Zimmerman went 1 for 4 with the RBI single. Luckily, that was
that was foul, but it was almost another one.
Oh, I just saw that. That's why I had to look at this.
Why is he still in this game?
Who's warming up in the bullpen? Fake a cramp.
Holy crap! That was just feet away from being fair. That was yikes.
Yeah, Lester Zimmerman 1 for 4 with an RBI single. The third game of the series was a 3-2 loss. Zach Thomas earned the victory for the Mets, going 2. That put him at 2-2. He went 6 innings, giving up 4 hits, 2 earned runs with 11 strikeouts and 2 walks. Patrick Corbin took the loss. That dropped him to 5-6. He went 6 innings, giving up 5 hits, 3 earned runs with 6 strikeouts and 1 walk. And Yimi Garcia earned the save. That's his 12th. He went 1 inning, giving up 1 hit, no earned runs with 2 strikeouts. Juan Soto went 1 for 4 with the RBI double, and Castro went 1 for 3 with the RBI double to account for both the Nats runs. And the rubber match of the series, the Nats won 5-1 with Mad Max on the mound. That puts him at 7-4 on the season. He went 6 innings, giving up 5 hits, 1 earned run with 7 strikeouts and 2 walks. Sandy Alcantara took the loss, dropped him to 4-7. He went 5 1/3, giving up 6 hits, 5 runs, 4 of those earned with 3 strikeouts and 3 walks. Trey Turner went 1 for 4 with a 2-run home run. Josh Bell went 1 for 4 with a 2-run home run, and Josh Harrison had an RBI single, and he went 2 for 4 that game. So they earned the split with the Marlins, who I would have liked for them to take at least 3 out of 4, but split 4-2 week, you can't complain about that. Room, did you get a chance to check out this 4-game series with the Marlins, and what did you think about it?
Yeah, another leadoff homer for Schwarber, and Soriano's the leader of that stat with 13 leadoff home runs, but he did it in 131 games, and Schwarber has, at least in the beginning of the series, he had 5 in only 13 games, so he might be the franchise leader in leadoff home runs pretty soon.
Well, actually, Trey broke that record.
I thought Trey broke it. That's why
Trey broke that record last year.
No, leadoff in like the begin of the game.
Do you mean
like
in a season or a career? Like for season or like the whole Nats?
For the Nats, for season.
Okay.
So that's the start off of the game home runs we're talking about. Yeah. Versus
like
Carol, the stat you're looking at is ones where he's just at the top of the lineup. There's two different.
Mark Zuckerman reported that stat, so let's take that beef up with him, I guess. Then
I think there are 2 stats. There's one where it's like how many home runs to start a game.
Because also Soriano had 50 home runs. That's what I was thinking too, because Soriano had like 45 homers that season, but it's just to start off the game.
Oh, interesting.
And yeah, Denny threw out the first pitch on Thursday night. That was pretty cool. And Ross, he pitched. He's been disappointing this season, as you mentioned. He's only 4-7, but it's good that he came out for the win. Lester got rocked later in the series, and yeah, it was kind of weird that the Nats swept the Phillies and split with the Marlins. But the Marlins, when they win by a lot. They've actually outscored their opponents this year, meaning even though they're below 500, meaning when they win big, and when they lose close. So it's unfortunate that the Nats can get more than 2 against not a particularly good Marlins team.
Well, Schwarber set the Nats record for most home runs in a month with his 6th leadoff one. So that was so that's pretty cool. That's a live stat right now, I think now, or is it yesterday?
No, it must be a new stat now.
Yeah,
that was probably from last week. Whenever that stat was.
Interesting. Yeah, it's crazy. He's just hitting so many. It's hard to keep track of all of them.
Right.
Carol, you came up with a stat, right, that you were telling me earlier about how many he had. You had one, right? Didn't you tell me offline a crazy stat that he had?
Which stat? Oh, yeah, he hit 11 home runs in 9 games, which ties a major league record. But I'm looking at the Trey Turner leadoff homers, and you were saying the difference between leading off a game, and it was August 12th of 2020. Says that where did it go? He said that Trey Turner has the number 10 leadoff homers career, breaking the Washington Nationals record. As home, the previous record holder was Alfonso Soriano, who had 9 during his career with the Nets. So it is, but it was 10. Soriano had 9. I guess it was the lead off the game, and Trey did break that record when he hit his 10th, and I think he said a couple of more this season. So yeah, just wanted to make sure I wasn't tripping.
Yeah. Okay. All right. So, but yeah, I mean, that's still pretty impressive. And how many leadoff wins does he have this year? Is he
leadoff? What is it? Isn't it
leading off a game? Like the first batter of the game.
Yeah, that was. I think he's got like 6 or 7 of the lead off the game.
Wow. So we're only halfway through the season. So,
Yeah,
not
that's
even.
And he's only been leading off for a very short period of time too, which is also really impressive. He hasn't been leading off the whole season.
Yeah. It hasn't even been 20 games, has it?
Yeah, it's been a very short amount of time.
Yeah.
Like we talked about last week, I didn't understand him going to lead off because, for one, you got Trey Turner, who's one of the top leadoff hitters in the league, and then I never would have thought to put Schwarber at the leadoff spot, especially with the way his season started off and the little slump that he was in, and not getting the home runs. He had a couple of nice walk-off home runs, to end some games early in the season, but he was wasn't seeing the ball real well. It really wasn't getting a lot of contact, and the fact that he decided to put him at the top of the lineup, I know I was scratching my head, but once again, like I said, I can't question
But if
it.
he hits, then it puts so much pressure on the opposing team because then you've got him and you've got Trey Turner towards the top and you got Juan Soto. And, it's just there's so many issues that teams are going to have to face with speed and bat strength. It seems to be a pretty lethal combination, at least right now.
Yeah, definitely. He's locked in, and he's doing historic things. Arun, what do you say about Schwarber and him at the leadoff spot?
Yeah, he had a couple clutch hits early on in the season, like couple game winners. So he showed he could take it deep. I definitely did not expect him to be this prolific going forward. And somebody made a joke online saying for the Washington football team name could be the Washington Schwarbers. So that would be pretty funny. But yeah, Soto was talking after the game. He said like when they beat the Marlins the second time that the whole locker room was in a good mood and they really liked Para coming back and they call him Baby Shark there like in the dugout. So that was pretty cool. But yeah, so overall it's nice that the Nats are playing better baseball even though they lost their last two games coming into this one.
Indeed.
Yeah, we're gonna see how things go. They brought in Brad Hand, who has gotten a couple of 4-out saves to try to get out of this inning to see if the Nats can add some more runs in the bottom of the inning. But he's in there as a 2-1 count, 2 outs. Uh, let's see what he's going to do.
Oh, Carey Price just made a miraculous save right there. Nice recovery to get back to his feet. 8 minutes left in the second period here in this live game one of the Stanley Cup. Tampa Bay still up 2-0 in that one. We're watching both those games here live, which is fun, and we'll watch some basketball in a little bit with people in hour two if people want to stay tuned for that. But hopefully the Nationals find a way to shut the door here. 2 balls and 2 strikes, 2 outs.
All right, come on, Brad. Let's get out of this inning and go ahead and talk about the upcoming schedule and get into some NHL talk and recap the conference finals and talk about the Stanley Cup final.
Indeed. All right.
Well, he had him on that one. Like I said, I don't understand. Robbie, what do you think about? Me and Brian talked about it last week. What do you think about them having Brad Hand as the closer instead of Hudson, who, was the top closer for this team and, closed out the Game 7 of the World Series for this team? Now he's, they didn't even use him as a setup man tonight, but now that they brought in Brad Hand with that hefty contract as a
I think the reality is you're going to have to use multiple people as your final guy throughout the season. I mean, think about in 2019, I don't think we had a set closer real early on. I mean, we kind of went back and forth between a couple of different pitchers throughout even the playoffs there, And so there'll be times where I think he'll go back into the closing role and Hand will step away. I just don't think I'd be shocked. The season is very long when you have a full season. Now, some teams have designated closers. I know that the Yankees always seem to have that, but at least in 2019, the Nationals kind of flip-flopped their closers throughout the season.
Yeah, that's why I never understood why they didn't re-sign Doolittle. And that's what I'm saying. Doolittle, re-sign him in this contract from what Brian told me. Brad Hand has like a $10 million contract or whatever. They should have just. I feel like they should have just.
I think it's even more than that.
That was a filthy pitch. I thought it was going to be a ball, but it snuck in there. That was nice.
Got out there and nice 5-4 lead for the Nats. Going to the bottom of the inning. Hopefully they add an insurance run or two
That would be nice. Otherwise, it's going to be
here with Brad Hand on the mound. I'm sorry.
It's going to be big yikes. I've got the upcoming schedule if you want me to go through that real fast, and then I'll get your guys' breakdown.
Do that and get into some hockey talk after that.
So it's very fitting that we're watching Tampa Bay because we're playing Tampa Bay. So there's Tuesday 7:05 game, Wednesday 4:05 game, and that ends our June schedule. And then on July 1st on Thursday, they start a series against the Dodgers in Washington. The Tampa Bay series is also in Washington. They're in the midst of a homestand right now. And then so the Dodgers 7:05 on Thursday, 7:05 Friday, 7:15 on Saturday, and then 11:05 on Sunday.
It's the 4th of July.
Oh, okay, that makes more sense. It still seems really early for a baseball game, but yeah,
That's how it's always been in DC since the Nationals came back. 4th of July game is on the 4th. Is at 11 o'clock.
Yeah, and they always got the red, white, and blue jerseys on. I got to get me one of those.
They're sweet. Yeah, Carol's right. Those are awesome.
That is cool. All right, well, that's cool. Yeah, I'll be out of town for that, but that's a cool game. Some year I got to go to that one. That sounds interesting. All right, Carol, I'll let you give your thoughts on Tampa Bay and LA, and then we'll get Brian's thoughts since I know that he sees a lot of Tampa Bay.
The Rays, I believe we split with them earlier in the season when we played them, and they were, I think it was a 2-game series, and they split it with them then. Brian was telling us how good Tampa was playing at the time. I can't wait to hear how they're playing now. And you already know how I feel about the Dodgers. I would love for the Nats to sweep them, but the Dodgers got a good squad. They playing good ball. They out there battling with San Diego in the West. So I'd take another 4-2 week.
Yeah, I would as well. All right, Brian, what is your how is Tampa Bay? What's the state of the Rays?
They're still in first place. They're still a really good team. Not much has changed. Well, actually, one thing has changed, which hurts them a lot. Tyler Glasnow, who we were actually talking about the last time the Nationals played the Rays, is actually he suffered a really bad injury. He suffered a UCL injury. They don't know how long he's going to be out for. That's a huge loss for the Rays, but they're still in first place. They're still a really good team. They took 2 out of 3 from the team the Yankees are playing right now this weekend, the Angels. And I expect a split probably of this series because the Nationals, I think, are playing good ball right now. But Tampa Bay is still a good team. I know they got swept by the Mariners last weekend. They were struggling for a little bit. At one point, they had lost 7 games in a row, but they picked it up. They won the last 2 games of the Red Sox series last week, and then they followed that up by winning 2 out of 3 against the Angels this weekend. So they are playing better after a rough stretch, a rough losing streak, and they're a good team.
Yeah. Arun, any thoughts on Tampa Bay?
Yeah, the Red Sox are in first place by half the game.
Well, thanks for reminding me, Arun. Thanks.
Oh yeah, and you were saying where's Finnegan? He's on the DL. Carol, I forgot to mention that.
Say that again?
He's on the 10-day DL. He'll be back in like July 1st or something like that. And yeah, the Rays, they've won 4 of their past 5 games. A couple, as Brian mentioned, against the Angels. I forgot that that the former Nats catcher is their Suzuki with the Angels. Is pretty funny. That like people were like, I think they were making fun of the Angels for putting Ohtani and Suzuki together because they're both Asian, even though Suzuki's Asian American.
Interesting.
So, yeah, the Tampa Bay, they're like 4th or 5th best in run differential, which could be tough, but I think the Nats are playing better, so hopefully they can take a couple from the Rays.
Yeah. God, there was a bad missed hit in that Tampa Bay game, and the guy spun away from it and went flying. All right, so the Nats are back up to bat. There's a 100-mile-per-hour fastball way outside. So they're holding on to a 1-run lead here in the bottom of the 8th. I forgot to ask Arun or Brian about their thoughts on LA. I'll start with Arun. What are your thoughts on playing the Dodgers?
LA's always going to be tough. Like defending champs, and the Nats have a good rivalry with them. Like they each eliminated each other from the playoffs, so should be fun. A fun series.
Brian, what are your thoughts on them?
Yeah, it should be a good series. I'm going to the game on Saturday, so I'm really excited about that. The Dodgers are always really good, and this is the first time they've come to Nats Park since the 2019 playoffs. The West has been a really tough division this year. Neither the Dodgers or the Padres are in first place right now. Actually, the San Francisco Giants are. They were the first team to 50 wins this season. They're off to a great start. So it'll be interesting to see how the rest of that division goes. But yeah, sounds like Montreal just scored. Is it a 1-1
Yeah,
now?
but it hasn't happened yet though, so I'm very confused by the goal horn. Sometimes the goal horn lies and it does it for the other team, and Tampa Bay has it right now. No, I think it just lied.
That's weird.
It has happened once or twice before. One time it happened where the other team scored, and that really pissed me off. Because I'm like, it was only set to go for the Capitals. And I was like, are you fucking kidding me? When that happened.
Had one job, goal horn.
And now we're like way far into it. So I don't think it's happened. So that's just odd. Threw me off for a minute. So I was like, oh, I was going to be so excited for our friend Sil. But anyway, we got a batter on base. Carol, how did that happen? I was watching hockey.
Mets have a flamethrower out there throwing 100-mile-per-hour fastballs, but he has no control right now.
He's missing a lot, it seems.
Right. Tim said the Canadian scored, but I don't know if he's trolling.
Tim does like to troll, so it's all very possible.
Very possible.
I just feel like it would have happened by now. It's just a really delayed by 5-minute goal horn. I don't think it's going to happen. So, we just got another.
Are you watching on your Fire Stick? Because when I was at your place this week, I was watching hockey on the Fire Stick, and it was super delayed.
No, it's on the box. Anyway, 3:40 left in the second, in what I think is still a 2-0 game. But the Nats now have 2 base runners. That was a really bad play. And
we had a Mets play happen.
Yeah, it was a bad play all around though. Guy couldn't pick it up. Then it was a terrible throw. Then the guy didn't pick that up at first, and then they advanced to second and third. Yeah,
sounds like the Mets to me.
Yeah, good old Mets that we all know and love.
Yeah, so that's helpful. Anyway, but Benson's saying, "Yay, not awful." Yeah, so I mean, it's good. It's maybe the Nats won't blow this. All right, so I think we've covered all of the baseball, right? Other than this live thing.
Baseball. Let's go ahead and get into this hockey talk, so I know y'all can get into this NBA and all the.
I wish I had more TVs so I could watch what's going on in the NBA game. So I'll have to have the roundtable let me know. I thought the Nats game was going to be over before the NBA segment, but I had mistimed it, I guess. So we're still on the bottom of the 8th. It's 5-4 Nats. And there's 3 minutes left in this live Stanley Cup game between Tampa Bay and Montreal.
My man Ryan Zimmerman pitch hit 3-1 home run.
Zim.
There you go. See, I had to just talk hockey, and boom, that's Mr. National himself. So
first pitch, low fastball, out the park. No ball with the fingernails. They got the 3-run lead, the 4-run lead back.
I'm so confused.
And Mr. National himself has done it for the Nats. That's the way.
Wow, that explains it. My hockey feed was delayed. It was, I guess, paused at some point. All right, so the Montreal has scored, and Ben Sherratt. So thank you, Sil, for answering that. And I totally missed it because anyway. I was watching so much baseball, I didn't even notice that the hockey was delayed. So I'm fast forwarding.
That's what I like to hear, Robbie. That's what I like to hear.
I know. Well, the Nats are sucking me in. It's a good game.
That's what I like to hear.
But congratulations, Sil, on the score of making it 2-1, splitting that lead. I believe, though, every game that Tampa Bay has been up and scored first. They have won, I believe they are 12, or no, they're 12-2, sorry. But all of their wins have come from when they scored first. So it's still going to be difficult. And we're now live, and it's only 9.4 seconds left in the second period. All right, but how we got here. So Montreal won the West, which is a very strange thing, but they decided to give the Western Trophy. Originally, they said they weren't going to give out the trophies because they thought it would be weird. And then at some point that changed, but they never even made news about it. So I don't understand. But then the trophies appeared at the championship ceremonies, and they decided since the Western team, Vegas, was playing Montreal, that they would somehow get the Western Trophy. And so Montreal was able to beat Vegas. And, Fleury played pretty well. He made some boneheaded plays in a couple of games. They went to Leitner for a few games. I believe actually in the deciding game 6, they went to Leitner in that game. And and still saying it's all good. It's the first time in history that they won the Clarence Campbell Trophy. It's true. They've never been able to win that trophy before. So one fun fact that I would mention that I saw, the winner between Toronto and Montreal, every time in NHL history that those two teams have played in the playoffs, has won the cup. So whenever those two teams play each other, the winner wins the cup. So that's crazy. I had never known that before. I would have assumed that they would have played each other in years where neither had. So still, maybe that's a good omen for you guys. I know a lot of fans of hockey that aren't necessarily, as long as they're not a Tampa Bay fan, a lot of people are picking the Habitants, as they call them, the Habs, and are running with them just because it's a fun story. It's a Cinderella story. Carey Price has always been a great goalie and someone that a lot of people have looked up to. But it's been some really fun series between Vegas and the Habs, and I'm just happy that they were able to pull it off. They entered the playoffs as the lowest seeded team of the 16 teams that made the playoffs, and they were able to go from what many considered was one of the weaker divisions in the Northern Division. If people were ranking 1 through 4, they thought, oh, there's less teams, and they thought that sort of taking advantage of some of the weaker teams in that division gave the teams at the top of the division these inflated point scores. But it's interesting that the team that was number 4 went on to beat the number 1 team and then went in the second round and then played the West, which a lot of people thought it was either the East or the West were the two best divisions in hockey, and neither division actually got a team in the finals, which I thought was interesting. So Tampa Bay was able to play an incredible game in a game 7 against the Islanders. I know a lot of us were pulling for Trotz. I know that there's some people in Caps fan groups that were mad about the whole situation with Trotz and rooting against them. But I know a lot of Caps fans that were rooting for them. I know Carroll was, and that was a great series. That series went 7, and it was just like it was a 1-0 game in a game 7. So it was like one mistake, and that was the difference. And it sets up this incredible final with these two very hot goaltenders. And we always talk about defense and goaltending being important in the playoffs. And it's really coming true. And it's interesting to have a team get back to the finals. That hasn't happened in a long time. So it'll be interesting to see what happens. Tampa Bay is way over the salary cap, which I know really pisses a lot of people off. It's kind of bullshit that they were able to hide some players, and not only hide some players, but some of the best players on their team as injured for the season, and then miraculously they get to play game 1 of the playoffs, and they're able to do well. But Carol, what are your thoughts about the run up into the cup?
It's been very interesting, like you said, with the way that things broke down with the new COVID protocol and the new divisions or whatever. But I wasn't, pleased to see my man Trotz get put out. I wanted to see him go to the end. Montreal, like we say all the time about playoff hockey, it's another season. It's a different beast, and you get hot at the right time and start playing good, solid hockey and have solid goaltending and quality special teams. You never know how far you can go, and right now it's 2-1 in game one. There's still time for them to tie the game and possibly win. So it's never over until the clock reaches 0-0. So it's going to be an interesting series. I haven't watched this close as I normally do with the Caps, but I'm definitely going to try to stay tuned in and see what's going on so we can break it down going into next week.
Yeah, that's crazy that there hasn't been a cup winner from north of the border since '93 when Montreal did it. I thought that the Flames had did it one time, but I guess they had not. So that was before. But yeah, it's Sil was just saying that it's been that long since the early '90s since a Canadian team has won, and they win gold medal all the time, and it's their sport. It's just kind of shocking to me that that none of the teams up there have come through. So it's right now it's a close game, 2-1 game. Going to go into the third. It's in the second intermission. I don't know, Brian or Arun, did either one of you guys watched any of the playoffs? I know that you watched a bit of the Islanders, right, Brian?
Yeah, I did, and look, I'm a Rangers fan, but I have to say, I will say I did kind of bandwagon the Islanders a little bit this postseason, which I know a lot of people thought was a little weird, but you know what? I don't really care because
I just like giving you crap.
I don't
about
really like hockey that much, guys. It's just how it is now. I don't really care that much about hockey as much as I used to, so I don't really have a problem with it. It's not that big of a deal to me. The Islanders earned my respect this postseason. They had a great run. And I was really impressed with how they bounced back. They got their asses kicked in Game 5. They got destroyed 8-0, and then they won Game 6. They were down 2-0 in that game. Game 6 to win Game 6 in overtime and to close out Nassau Coliseum like that, I thought was awesome. And then like you said, Robbie, just one bad break in Game 7 and a 1-0 loss. It's tough for them, but they had a great run and they should be absolutely proud of what they accomplished this season. And Barry Trotz and Lou Lamoriello are running a great team over there. And yeah, as far as the West, I didn't really see a ton of the Western Conference, but I have to, or I don't even know if you can call it the Western Conference because Montreal was in it, but whatever that was, I was surprised Montreal won. I mean, we talked about it on this podcast, how it was going to go. We thought, Edmonton swept Winnipeg, or Montreal swept Winnipeg, so forth. We thought it was going to be another sweep. But no, I was really impressed that Montreal won this series. And I have to say, I think, I don't really care. I'm honestly not even watching this game right now. I don't know how much of the finals I'm actually going to watch because it just doesn't interest me that much. But if I had to pick a team I'm rooting for, I'd probably pick Montreal, honestly, just because I really like their underdog story. And Tampa Bay won it last. Tampa Bay's had enough sports success over the last year. They won the Super Bowl. They won the Stanley Cup. Team got to the World Series. They've had enough sports success. Let's get the Stanley Cup back to Canada. Let's get Montreal their Stanley Cup.
Yeah, I agree. I definitely think that Tampa Bay won it last year. They don't necessarily need to win it again. And it's been an exciting run to it. I don't know, Arun, have you checked out any of the hockey playoffs?
Yeah, I checked out Game 7, and yeah, that shorthanded goal was pretty surprising. I can't believe that decided the game. McDonough, he was great on the PK, and overall, Trotz losing it was the third straight conference finals he's played the Lightning. He beat them the first time, but the last two was not so lucky. And yeah, I remember the Canadians winning in '93 because that was the first year I started watching hockey, and the Canadians actually eliminated the Islanders that year. In the second round, the Islanders eliminated the Caps that first season. And I remember that because Dale Hunter knocked out Pierre Turgeon for the rest of the playoffs.
Oh, yeah. That's still legendary. That I've watched on YouTube even recently. That's a crazy, crazy hit. So one fun fact is last year, the two Stanley Cup finalists played in the same division the following year. And so they played each other 8 times. And this year, these two teams played in the Atlantic, at least before the divisional realignment. So it'll be interesting to see if they end up, playing against each other a bunch next year. So it's just rare because usually you would play if you played in the Cup final, you'd maybe play them twice, once at home, once away, the following season. And that wasn't the case between Dallas and Tampa Bay this year, and it won't be the case probably, assuming it's going to go back to the way it was between these two teams. And these teams, even though they haven't played each other all season, they know each other very well. Because I mean, Montreal, played Tampa Bay a lot ever since they did that realignment and the Metro Division was created and the Southeast Division was eliminated. And it's going to be interesting to see the chippiness of this game and the rivalry take form. It's going to be a really interesting Cup Finals, at least in my opinion. Carol, what are your final takeaways before we switch gears?
I can disagree with what you said. It's definitely going to be interesting finals and see how things work itself out. With the whole realignment. I would love to see Montreal beat Tampa Bay. Like I said, I haven't really watched them closely, but Tampa is a quality team. Like I say, over the salary cap. Kind of like the Yankees of the NHL. But
watch it.
but it's going to. I'm definitely going to see how this concludes. I would hate to see Tampa go back to back because I wanted to see the Caps go back to back, and if they do it, I'm really not going to like Tampa Bay.
Yeah, exactly. Just so people want to watch other games in the series, the series is obviously going on right now, 2-1. We're in the second intermission. I'll give scoring updates whenever we get them in the third period in our NBA talk. But the next game is Wednesday, June 30th. That's at 8 o'clock. It's also in Tampa Bay. And then on Friday, it switches over to Montreal at 8 o'clock. And then on Monday, also at 8 o'clock in Montreal. So you guys can cover that next week if you're going to do 5th of July podcast, which I think you're going to do, but we haven't really talked about it. And then next Wednesday, July 7th, it'll be back at Tampa Bay at 8. Game 6, if necessary, would be Friday, also at 8. And then game 7, if necessary, would be on a Sunday. So next week you would preview sort of the last 4 games of that while talking about game 4. So that'll be interesting to see where the series is out next week. Yeah. All right. So, did we catch that?
We
Is
have
it
a
out?
early W in the books, Rob.
Nice. Awesome. That's great. 8-4 over the Mets. I'm excited about that. Out hit them 11-10. Mets had 3 errors. They were very Mets, and that led to definitely some of those runs, and at least creating opportunities. So good for them. Sounds good. All right. Well, Carol, give your final thoughts on this baseball game while I switch it to basketball, and then we'll switch gears.
It was a great Nats win. We talked about Miller coming in and giving up 3 runs in the the top of the 8th, and was seeing if the Nats could answer. And they brought in one of their, I don't know if that's the Nets closer or a setup man, but he was throwing 100 miles an hour, but he couldn't locate anything, and was able to get 2 men on. And Ryan Zimmerman comes in to pinch hit and hits a 3-run homer to get those runs back to help secure the victory for the Nats. And it was a very, very good win for the Nats. That puts them at 500 at 38-38, and climbing in the division, trying to take over first place and see what we can do with all the pieces finally falling into place. What about you, Arun? If you get a chance to see this great game the Nets just pulled off with an 8-4 victory?
Yeah, I saw the Schwarber home run, but it was unfortunately not able to see the end of this game. But it's good that the Nats were able to hold on. I guess they were giving me kind of a scare. And you guys were talking about all the runs they were giving up, but nice win for the Nats against the Mets.
Yeah, one thing to mention, Shorter to get 2 solo shots, and one of them I don't think we mentioned on air. I know I talked to Carol before we got on air about it. Was one of the deepest to one of the farthest parts of the park that I've seen. It went over the fair foul pole, which is crazy to go that far and then into the upper deck. I've never seen. I've seen ones go long distances at Nats Park, but that's a tough spot to hit too, and it went way up there. So that was pretty impressive. And then to hit another 390-foot home run as well. He's just been incredible, and I'm so excited that we got that win there, and it will give us some good momentum going into a difficult potential week for the Nationals.
It's definitely going to be a top team in the AL East and first or second place team in the NL West that's been playing good ball. So yeah, it's definitely going to be a test. Played the Phillies last week and the Marlins, not the same competition. So like I said, I would love to see another 4-2 week from the Nats.
Yeah. So still saying it'll be finished in Montreal in Game 6 with Montreal ending the road for the 25th Cup. That would be pretty awesome. 25 cups, man. I'm so excited the Caps got one. I can't even wrap my head around the thought that they could get their 25th. I mean, that's just crazy. I mean,
Only hope.
right? How many do the Yankees have, Brian?
27.
27. So even more than that. Great.
Yeah.
Good God. All right. So all right. That's crazy. I'm super happy with my one for the Nationals and one for the Capitals. And here we have fans.
If it makes you feel better, I've been waiting for 28 for 12 years now. So it's been a while.
That's true. We have one more recently. So I guess that's something. Yeah. All right. Well, I think we've exhausted our baseball talk. And again, hockey talk, I'll bring in live scoring updates, throughout this final period. Zach wants to be on the podcast. All right. Carol, any final thoughts before we switch gears to basketball?
No, I'm gonna go ahead and let you guys break down the conference finals. Recap the conference finals and talk about what's going on in the NBA. I'm gonna sit back and listen, and I'll be here to close out the show.
Sounds good. All right, let me bring in our last member here, Tim, and yeah, Zach.
Sounds important.
It sounds important. I think.
I
kind of imagine upstairs is kind of like. Did you ever watch that video where the mom is trying to pull the kid back from the meeting, and he's. That's what I kind of imagine upstairs is like just now. But
could be a work Zoom. Could be worse.
Yeah, could exactly. He's not happy. He really wants to be on this podcast. He's very excited about the NBA playoffs. So let's talk about. We'll talk about the game that's happening right now. Right now, the Clippers are up 59-52 over Phoenix, which is necessary for them because it could be all done tonight if the Suns find a way. Tim? What are your how are you doing, and what are your thoughts on the game so far tonight?
Yeah, doing great. Been a busy day, but happy to be on the show. I've enjoyed the first half. The Phoenix crowd is really into the game. They have a full sellout there, I'm pretty sure, because Arizona doesn't really have strict COVID rules. So the crowd's really into it, but the Clippers had an amazing first 3 minutes of the game. They were up by double digits, and Phoenix wasn't really hitting anything early. So, the Clippers know they have to win. They came out firing. They were really terrible in the fourth quarter of the last game. So it was good for them to see some shots go down. But I could tell the Suns just were able to kind of take that huge punch in the mouth and come back. Because by the end of the first quarter, it was pretty close. And then at half, it's back up to, 8 or 10, I guess. But it's definitely a doable comeback. But
well, now it's only 7, so I think that they came back again. So yeah, because it had spiked up again, but then I think that they cut it. So Suns lead the series 3-1. Overall, the Suns have just been kind of dominating this series. I'll go to Arun next. What are your thoughts on how dominant this Western Conference series has been so far.
Yeah, game been a pretty there was an incredible inbounds play for the game 2 game winner. Ayton caught the ball in the cylinder, but it was an inbounds play, so there was no goaltending on that. So that was a pretty incredible win for the Suns when it looked like the Clippers were going to pull it out. And even the last game, 84. I think the Suns scored 84 or 86 points. That's the lowest amount of points for a team that's won this season. So that was pretty incredible. It was a pretty ugly basketball game. The Clippers were pretty bad offensively. Tim mentioned that the Suns were, but Paul George he was not hitting anything down the stretch, and they couldn't really find any offense. Their best offense was Reggie Jackson stepping back for 3. But it looks like the Clippers have found something offensively in this one. Marcus Morris at 20 points, Paul George already 11, and DeMarcus Cousins actually has 10 points somehow. He stole the ball from Chris Paul and took it coast to coast, which was pretty funny. So wouldn't rule out the Clippers in this series because they do have Tyronn Lue. He was part of that Cleveland coaching staff that came back from a 3-1 deficit. But the Suns should still probably win this series, but it will be competitive for sure.
Yeah, for sure. I want to thank Carly and Champ for modding over in Twitch chat, and I want to thank everyone for tuning in and chatting with us. It's going to be a little bit of a quicker NBA segment, so I'm not going to share the Facebook one to all of them. I'm not going to pull up stats. We can just have a little bit of a conversation, and that way I know that Carol and I both had late nights, so we're not going to try to keep people on too long, and then they can watch the fourth quarter and the end of this third period live, depending on whether or not you're a hockey or a basketball fan, or if you're a fan of both. You can watch both like I'm doing. Both are exciting games so far. I'm going to go to Brian next. Brian, what are some of your thoughts on this Western Conference final?
Oh, yeah, I just really, going back to that inbound play Arun was talking about, the Ayton dunk, that was basketball perfection, if you ask me. The pass from Crowder, the screen by Booker to set it up, and then Ayton slamming it home was just absolute basketball perfection, but it would not have been possible without Paul George missing those 2 free throws and at the end of the game. Now, Paul George did have a great game in game 2 outside of that, but he missed those 2 free throws. It really cost that. That was the only reason the Suns were able to have the chance to win the game right there, was the fact that Paul George missed those 2 free throws. The Clippers,
that alley-oop is incredible, though. I just want to, I mean, it's
absolute
just,
perfection.
I don't know how
beautiful.
They draw, first of all, the block, down low to try to get him open was a great move, but just the timing play to get that where, he can't touch it for too long or it's done, so like,
it was, everything had to go right, and it did. Yeah. And everything else we said about the series. I mean, the Clippers looked pretty good in game 3. Paul George had a nice bounce back in game 3. Really game 4, you guys already talked about it. Very low scoring game. I think, if I'm not mistaken, the lowest scoring game of the playoffs so far.
I mean, it's one of the lowest scoring Western Conference Finals games I've ever seen.
Yeah, at least in the modern NBA, it is very low scoring. And the Clippers were awful. I mean, the Suns weren't much better, honestly, but the Clippers were awful in the fourth quarter of that game. But they've bounced back strong. Oh, Tampa Bay just scored. I just saw.
Hey, you're not as far behind today.
Nice.
Yeah, you're pretty up.
Yeah,
nice.
pretty up there. Yeah. It went off the hand and then deflected off the stick and in. What a crazy bounce. So it's sort of a backhand shot that the Montreal guy tries to swat away, and he swats it to Palat, and Palat basically hits it, a la almost like a Sidney Crosby baseball bat goal, and just what great eye-hand coordination, and he gets
nice
it
goal.
in.
And Kucherov's back. I didn't know that. Kucherov's back.
Yeah.
But yeah, just a couple other things about this, the game that's actually happening tonight. The Clippers got off to a great start, which they absolutely needed, but the Suns have had an answer for everything, it feels like, and the Clippers have answered pretty much every Suns run, it feels like, as well. But Booker hit a huge three-pointer right at the buzzer, right before halftime. Another really well drawn up drawn up play by Monty Williams and the Suns, I thought, on the 3-pointer to beat the buzzer right before halftime. So we got a really exciting game going into the second half. I'm really excited. I'm excited to see how this one turns out. I will see if the Clippers can force a game 6, but I really think the Suns are the better team, and I think they deserve to be in the NBA Finals. I think the NBA Finals would be better if the Phoenix Suns were in it.
Yeah, I'm kind of excited about them potentially being in it too. Although I feel for the Clippers. They finally like make it this far, and they just run into a buzzsaw team in the Suns. I do kind of hope the series goes a little bit longer. I don't know if I want the Suns to win it all tonight. I just think that'll be more exciting because I think. Well, I wouldn't be surprised if the Eastern goes a little bit further. Well, it just depends on injuries. So let's break down the Eastern Conference Finals. It's been pretty exciting so far. I'm going to let Brian take the first crack at it. We'll go in reverse order. So, Brian, what are your thoughts on the Eastern Conference Finals so far?
Yeah, the Eastern Conference Finals has been good. Atlanta won the first game. It was a really exciting game. Atlanta won. Trae Young had 48 points. Milwaukee missed a shot. Trae Young's a beast. I learned that the hard way this playoffs. Trae Young is a beast. And
do you think he's the next Kobe Bryant? I know that I was seeing comparisons.
I can't say that. That's way too. I can't go that far just yet.
But I was seeing comparisons in his, at least not necessarily like his ability, the playmaking ability, and the ability
he reminds me
of
like a lot of a Steph Curry or a Reggie Miller type. Honestly, I see a lot of that in Trae Young's game.
Well, I think they were talking about like the intensity, like how
he
like,
does. Well, what did you say, Arun?
A lot more passing by Trae Young.
That's for sure true too. He passes the ball a lot more than Kobe. I think it's an unfair comparison to make because Kobe is Kobe and Trae Young's only in his third year in the league. But I mean, he's just been incredible this postseason. He's putting the Hawks on his back sometimes in these games. I mean, game 1, he was just outstanding. Game 2, Milwaukee won easily. It was a blowout. Honestly, didn't even watch much of the second half because Milwaukee had a huge lead going into halftime. And then it wasn't even close. And then game 3 was really good. Atlanta got off to a good start, but Milwaukee came back strong. And in the fourth quarter, Chris Middleton was amazing for the Bucks. Arun probably has the exact number, but if I'm not mistaken, I think he had like 22 or 23 points in the fourth quarter. He was outstanding. He scored, I believe, 38 points overall for the whole game. And just outstanding fourth quarter performance from Middleton. He's been great in the postseason for the Bucks. Everybody talks about Giannis, and Giannis is, of course, a great player, but Middleton has really developed into a great player in his own right. He's going to be on Team USA this summer for the Olympics. I'm excited to see how he does there as well. Chris Middleton is a damn good player.
So I got one more comparison that I was reading on NBA forums that I want to throw at you. They say Chris Middleton's Batman and Giannis is Robin.
Yes, I heard Kendrick Perkins said that today on ESPN, and I don't agree with that personally because Giannis is so good. Giannis is already a 2-time MVP, and Middleton's a great player. Don't get me wrong, but to say he's Batman and Giannis is Robin makes no sense to me. Giannis scored 30 plus points in his own right in game 3 as well. So I think that's unfair to say. I do think Milwaukee's going to win this series. I think they're the better team. I think Atlanta's Cinderella run will come to a bit of an end here. I think the Bucks will win in 5 or 6 games. I just think they have too much. I mean, Giannis, Holiday, and Middleton are just 3 really good players. And while the Hawks do have a lot of depth, I just don't think it's going to be enough to beat that. So I'm going with Milwaukee, but this has been, an interesting series so far. Chris Middleton's not bad. He's not Batman. Trae Young's not the next Kobe. We can all chill without these crazy comparisons and everything.
Yeah, I just like reading NBA forums on Facebook and getting your guys' take on it. But I'm going to go to Arun next on the Eastern Conference Final. What are some of your takeaways?
Yeah, Chris Middleton is definitely not Batman because he only had 30 points combined in the first 2 games of the series, and so I think Giannis is getting it done every game. That last game took a bit of a hit for me because when Trae Young got injured, he stepped on the referee's ankle. I thought the game, and he didn't look like he was 100% out there. Even they took like a 98 to 96 lead, and then they were outscored 17-4, and that pretty much was like the game. And I think this series is pretty much over if Trae Young isn't close to 100%. I think the series is ending in 5 because Bogdanovich is injured. I actually don't think the Hawks are very deep at all right now. I think it's just Herger, Young, Capella, and then like if Young is out, then their bench is pretty bad other than Gallinari. Okongwu's okay, but Lou Williams is kind of a choke artist. So I think the Bucks are going to win in 5 if Young is injured.
Yeah, so I heard that it was going to be reevaluated today. Have we heard anything yet about how that turned out?
Questionable for next game.
Yeah.
And he didn't look like he looked like even when he's playing, then like Drew Holiday was like pressing up on him, and it looked like, and before Holiday was all nervous and leaving him open for the shimmy 3-pointers. That was probably the play of the post.
Well, I mean, his blow by speed is so dangerous that you can't get up on him, or he'll just blow right by you. So I understand how that totally changes the way that you're going to be able to guard him, and that would be so disappointing in my mind if we had this, he had this such a great season, and if they lose because of an injury, and it's such a fluke injury, he stepped on an official's foot, right?
Yeah. An official's foot. It wasn't even the official's fault, but it was just bad timing by Trae Young to step into his foot. It's the second straight series that the opposing point guard got injured. Like Kyrie had an ankle injury on Giannis's foot, which is also pretty fluky. So this just might be the Bucks' year. They've stayed healthy. They've suffered. I guess Dante DiVincenzo's injured, but he's not like an all-star player like Kyrie or Trae Young. So
for me, this is the Bucks' year because this is going to be one of the easier paths they're going to get, and they got to put it all together in my mind this year. I mean, I'm not saying the Suns wouldn't be a tough out, but in comparison to some previous years and some teams in the East, and I feel like some favors were handed to them, and 76ers not really showing up, and the Nets not taking care of business. I mean, they really got to take advantage of this situation.
Yeah, Nets, especially with Kyrie out and Harden looking like, I don't know, he's pretty slow out there, and he's taking all these. People are criticizing Giannis for taking all those threes with Harden. Didn't feel confident. Harris, he didn't take care of business. He reminded me of like the UVA. He's from UVA and not part of that 16-1 loss, but it's in the UVA DNA to blow big games in the playoffs.
Right. Tim, what are your thoughts on the Eastern Conference Final?
Well, I know we compared Trae Young to Kobe already, but I think we should compare him a little bit to Allen Iverson because I think his shimmy moment was cool, and he won game 1 single-handedly, but it is likely to be 4 straight losses, and it's kind of, he punked the defender. It's going to be an iconic highlight for years, but he accomplished winning 1 game in the conference finals. That's great for Atlanta. They haven't done that in forever.
They've never done it.
I don't think they're going to win another game. And, like Arun said, Bogdanovich has been hurt, and he hasn't really been hitting threes the entire playoffs, but they've still been winning without him. In the regular season, he was a lot better shooter. So, all the injuries are taking their toll. Kevin Huerter had a great game 7, but he can't really take up that scoring slack, and nobody else really can. So I think like the Hawks really should have won game 3. They were up in the 4th quarter, but Middleton just, was a hero and couldn't miss. But I think that might be the turning point in the whole Bucks season. And I do agree they should win it all this year, but I think Phoenix could definitely beat them personally, or maybe it'll go to 7 games. I think it'll be a tough series.
Yeah. So it'll be interesting for sure. All right, we got 11:27 left in the 3rd period in this game 1 of the Stanley Cup Finals. Tampa Bay is still up 3-1. I'm sorry, Sil, it's not looking good. But if Montreal can score 1 here in the next 5 minutes, that'll make it much more interesting. And in this Clippers Suns matchup, it's a very close game. But sorry, they just went to commercial break. But I think was it a 7-point
61-60.
61-60. Okay.
Yep.
So it was a 1-point game. Yeah. So So that'll be really exciting. Let me just preview when the upcoming games are for the NBA playoffs. Do any of you guys have any final thoughts before I do that?
I'm good.
Yeah, me too. Maybe the Wizards can trade for Lillard, but probably not.
Maybe the Knicks can trade for Lillard.
We'll have a battle. We'll have a rock paper scissors for who gets Lillard. All right, so we got Tuesday. Bucks play Hawks in that game 4. Bucks are up 2-1 in that series. Milwaukee's favored by 6.5 right now. It's an 8:30 start time on TNT. Then on Wednesday, 9 o'clock, the Suns and Clippers might play again, depending on how this game goes out. And then Thursday, Hawks Bucks game 5 is at 8:30. If the Clippers Suns go to a game 7, it will be Friday at 9. And then a Bucks Hawks game 6 would be on Saturday at 8:30. And if there is a game 7, it would be Monday on at 8:30 Hawks Bucks. So maybe something to talk about live if Carol ends up doing a show next week. I know that we might. We might take off for the 4th, or we might not, just depending on how things go. I'll let him give updates on that on his page and on the sports page. Always facebook.com/sportsothp always has all your latest news and information about the podcast and all that. And then it won't be live on this channel for a couple of weeks, just because I'm going to take 2 weeks off. I'm going to South Carolina for the 4th of July weekend to see family. And I'm also going the following week to the American Virgin Islands, and Zach is having a babysitter here, so we'll have a bit of a baby moon there. But so I'm excited for the next 2 weeks, but I'm happy that I got a chance to break down how this NBA action is going. I know that some of you guys will join Carol in the upcoming weeks and preview probably the NBA finals next week, and then how they're going the week after that. So that's been fun. I'll let you guys give your final takeaways of anything that to do with basketball or anything in general. Neville is starved for attention down here. All right, so Arun, I'll let you go first. Any final thoughts that you have?
Yeah, no RG3 news to report. The soccer day was crazy with 2 teams losing 3-1 and both going extra time, and France actually losing. So it was a pretty memorable soccer day. But other than that, not much to report. And thanks for having me on.
Yeah, we'll actually talk soccer in a second with Brian in his outro, because I know that he watched some soccer this weekend that included DC United. But Arun, thank you so much for coming on. As always, I always enjoy your take, and thank you for talking 3 different sports with us tonight. And we'll definitely talk to you soon.
Sure.
All right, Tim, I'm going to let you go next. Any final takeaways or thoughts that you might have?
No, I'm just really excited to see what happens with the Wizards coaching hire. And I think it's going to shake out in the next week or 2, just because
it's got to, right? Because everyone else is already getting their guys.
Yeah,
and some of the best are still have been taken, and there's a couple left. It'll be interesting to see. If you were to make a guess right now, who are some of your odds-on favorites?
Sam Cassell and Wes Unseld Jr. That's what I've been hearing.
Yeah, I've heard some of that too. Brian, do you think that's about right? Or
those are the names I've been hearing. I mean, we kind of talked a little bit. I can't remember if it was Tim or Arun, but somebody said Rick Carlisle wouldn't be a good idea. Well, now he's off the board. He took the Indiana job. So I think it's going to be Cassell or Unseld Jr. They seem like the 2 logical choices.
So, Brian, real quickly, why do you think after all these years he left the Dallas job to go to Indiana?
There just seems to be a lot of dysfunction in the Dallas Mavericks. I almost said Cowboys. Dallas Mavericks organization. Pick your dysfunctional Dallas organization. Ever since the Porzingis trade, there's really been he has not been a good fit at all, and there's some drama with Luka as well. He's probably still going to sign the max, but you got to keep him happy. And so Rick Carlisle left, Don Nelson left. It sounds like they're going to trade Porzingis as well. there's a lot of questions about the Dallas Mavericks, and I understand why Rick Carlisle wouldn't want to be a part of it. I think he's going to be a really good fit in Indiana. Indiana is a really talented roster with guys like Sabonis and Caris LeVert, who are really good players. But and it's just been a rotating cast of characters at head coach for them the last couple of years, ever since they fired Nate McMillan, who was a good coach, who's now gotten the Atlanta Hawks to the Eastern Conference Finals. So I'm excited to see how Carlisle will do in Indiana. I think he'll do a good job. The Mavericks are a mess right now.
Yeah, interesting. So the live score in this game, 7:26 left in the third quarter. The Clippers now have a 2-point lead, 64-62, and a big foul there. So it looks like they're going to go to the line. The Clippers, that is, they're going to shoot 2. And Tampa Bay is still up 3-1. Actually, nope, make that 4-1. I believe that was Nikita Kucherov with the goal. We got 4 goals on 21 shots. Montreal's only put up 15 shots to this point with less than 10 minutes left to go in the game. So that's not enough. And yeah, it's a set play off the face-off. It's a pretty clean win for them, and it pushes it back. Kucherov takes the middle, shoots it. I can't tell if it's deflected and it goes up high or if it doesn't. Let's see here. Don't think it was deflected, but maybe it was. We'll see in the angle. Oh, it's hard to tell if it changes angles there, but Tampa Bay takes a 4-1 lead there with 8:28 left in the third. But thank you, Tim, for joining us as always. And any final thoughts before we let you go?
No, it's just you had the Inspector Gadget like evil guy look where so it reminded me of the cartoon. But that's my
I was a huge Inspector Gadget fan, so I'll take that as a compliment, being the mad doctor.
I'm having flashbacks, but yeah, no, I hope we can cover a Wizards hire soon, and we're happy about it. And yeah, I'm excited for Brian. I'll break it down, but England Germany tomorrow. I'm not a huge soccer guy, but that's a classic matchup. World War II.
Sounds good. Well, thank you, Tim, as always, and we'll talk to you soon.
Bye.
All right, Brian. Real quickly, let's start with DC United first, and then we can get into some international soccer real fast, and then and then Carol can come back as well. What are your thoughts on some of this international play and this upcoming game? All right, well, let's do that out of the way first, and then we'll do the
yeah. So Euros was today. Unfortunately, I missed all of it because I was at work, but Arun just explained very well what happened. Spain had a 3-1 lead in their game. They blew it. It went to extra time. They ended up winning 5-3 in extra time. And then the defending champions of the tournament and the defending World Cup champion, France, were knocked out of Euros in a penalty shootout. I don't even know who it was against, honestly, because I've been at work all day. I'm very sorry. I wish I knew off the top of my head.
I think it was, wasn't it Switzerland?
It was Switzerland. You are right. It was Switzerland. I apologize. Yes, Switzerland. The Euro tournament has been great so far. I watched Belgium-Portugal yesterday. That was a good game. Belgium knocked out Portugal, who were the defending European champions. It's been a really good tournament. Like Tim mentioned, tomorrow is England versus Germany. They obviously have, as Tim said, World War II history, and not to mention a lot of history on the soccer field as well. Two countries that genuinely do not like each other. So I am very much looking forward to that matchup. And now I think the tournament is totally up for grabs now that France is out. I thought France was the best team by far, so I am shocked to see them go out to Switzerland. I can't wait till this hockey game's over so I can watch the highlights of it, honestly, because it sounds like a hell of a game. I really can't believe I missed all this incredible action today. But it's been a great tournament so far. Euro 2020 has been great.
All right, let's break down the game that DC United should have won. Then we were going to escape with a lucky tie, and then they lost the game. How did that break down?
It was a good game. I watched most of it. DC United actually scored first in the first half and looked pretty good. But then NYCFC very late scored 2 goals, 1 goal in the 85th minute, and then 1 goal in the very last kick of the game in the 95th minute to win the game 2-1 for NYCFC. It's a tough loss because obviously there's a rivalry with NYCFC, and I'm an NYCFC fan as well. So I want them. I'm glad they won, but this was a really good game, especially for the MLS. And DC United now, with this loss, sits outside the playoff picture, but there's still a lot of time left to go this season. I can't remember who their next game is against off the top of my head. I know it's on Saturday at Audi Field. But I can't remember who it's against. I'm sorry. I can't remember off the top of my head who it's against, but the game yesterday was a lot of fun, and go check out this winner by NYCFC. It was a great game-winning goal.
Yeah, Toronto FC.
Toronto FC. There we go.
At 5:30 is the next game. And
on Saturday.
Yeah. So that'll be.
I knew it was on Saturday and that it was at Audi Field. I just could not remember the opponent.
Yes, and I want to give a quick little shout out to Champ, who True No Spots podcast. So check them out on Twitch as well. They're part of the True Radio Network. Also, if you go to sportsothp.com and click the podcast partners button, you can get his podcast. And this week they're going to cover wrestling plus what 7 wrestlers would you use to build a new stable in a new promotion. So interesting conversation topic there. So I know that he's been growing over on Twitch, and so definitely check him out. I just gave him a shout out on here, but True No Spots Pod is where you find them on Twitch. And then Carly Sings is also moderator for me. She's a super awesome singer. She's doing a great thing and donating the proceeds from tomorrow's Tuesday stream live at 1:00 Eastern Daylight Time to Outright Action International, and all the songs are gonna be all love songs for the last stream of Pride Month for that. So shout out to my 2 moderators over there. Thank you everyone for rolling through. A lot of people came through Twitch today talking a lot of different sports, a lot of different topics. So I appreciate everybody for joining me over there. Brian, let people know what's happening on your podcast. I know you're doing an Ask Brian, I think tomorrow.
Yes, tomorrow. So if anybody's got any questions for me, it can be about anything, sports, movies, music, life, anything. If you have any questions for me, send them to me by tomorrow at around 10 a.m. So that's when I'm recording. I'm looking forward to answering everybody's questions. I've already got a good number of them. Other than that, going back to 1 episode a week now because I am back to work, and I have an awesome new job. Thank you. I have an awesome new job. Come visit me at the International Spy Museum in the Spy Store. It's a lot of fun. But yeah, I'm going back to 1 episode a week because of that. I dropped a good episode on Friday, and I'm going to do a bonus episode because I have tomorrow off. I figured I might as well do a bonus episode, so it's going to be an Ask Brian, and I'm going to be doing that around 10 a.m. tomorrow. So if you have any questions, shoot me a message or tell Robbie, get in contact with him, and I'll do it.
All right, sounds good. I think people should either do it on Facebook, but I'm also going to link your Twitter, BBry1991,
Thank you. Yes.
in chat over on Twitch as well. So BBry, BBRI1991.
Yes.
And send him a message over there, and you can get it on his podcast and be a part of that. It's one of my favorite segments, and I'm super happy you're doing it. And
I'm excited for it.
I hope people go to sportsothp.com, click the podcast partners button. They can get Brian's podcast there. Upon further review, you can also get Champ's podcast. And we appreciate you, Brian, for filling in for me last week. And I look forward to you maybe broadcasting from the man cave in future episodes when I'm not able to.
Yeah, sounds good. I'm totally down to do it next week, Carol. If you want, I'm happy to do it again. And yeah, guys, thanks for having me on. Have a great night.
All right, Brian, take it easy. Appreciate it.
Take it easy, guys. Later.
Yeah, sounds good. I didn't know if, Carol, you wanted to take the week off for 4th. I'll leave that up to you to make that decision. And you don't have to make it right now. I'm not going to put you on the spot, but I'm sure we'll do an announcement on the page either way. And we got a whole great team now with all the Zoom, and it's been really wonderful. Season 5 and season 6 through Zoom has really given us a lot of opportunities to have a lot of interchanging people, and I love the team. I thank my Wizards Roundtable for joining me every week talking NBA, and I appreciate Brian and Arun for breaking it down last week even in my absence. It's been a really fun season, and so Montreal's still on the power play here, but it doesn't look like they're going to come back. Unfortunately, Price has had a bit of a rough night of it, and the Clippers are up 76-67. And I know that we talked about maybe talking Mystics tonight, but I think we could save that for next week if you want, unless you really wanted to go over it now.
No, man, I'm ready to get off the air, Ryan.
Yeah, I am too. I'm with you. We
Yeah,
need more sleep.
definitely break it down next week, man. But appreciate it as always. Thanks, guys, for tuning in. We do this for you. You know, we love covering DC sports, bring it to you like nowhere else. None of that clickbait, none of that anonymous source BS. You know, we bring you the real sports talk like it used to be. Stay tuned. I'm working on the race.
Get the merch. Burgundy and gold
Okay,
merch
no
is back
doubt.
on. Is
Hit
back
the
on there.
www spot or sports OTHP to get the old school sports OTHP apparel. You can hit me up to get the new school sports OTHP apparel. We partnered up with Eric Husa, proud partner with us. I'm working on getting some more apparel coming out soon. Still have some shirts available. Working on some sweatsuits, some jeans, shoes. We got some things in the works. So just stay tuned. You know, we're gonna make this thing do what it do. Make sure you check out the YouTube channel, Carol Porter III with 3 eyes. Go follow and subscribe. Getting more subscribers, more views. I'm putting out some of the old clips from some of the Washington football team stuff that I put out because we're getting ready for our off-season show. I'm coordinating with Dujanay to try to get another great off-season recap of free agents and rookies before training camp starts at the end of July. Excuse me. If you're in the market for a new used pre-owned certified vehicle, come hit me up and come visit me down at Waldorf Honda. I'll be off tomorrow, but I'll be back in there Wednesday, 9 a.m., working till 8 p.m. Come on down if you need a new car. You know, you got bad credit, no credit, some credit. Come holler at me. We got plenty of lenders. Okay, take care of you. You know, that's what I do now. And also, make sure you tune in to Sunday nights at the Bar Radio, 6 p.m. Normally, we started a little late yesterday. But we always bring you the best entertainment news, independent music, current events, politics, and a whole bunch of other craziness. So come check us out next Sunday. I'm not sure who the in studio guest is, but I'm sure we probably have something interesting going on. And on that note, I'm always in with some independent music. I'm gonna switch it up some more soon. Going to end it out with Renegade and a couple of favorites from At the Bar Radio. So if you got any independent music or folks that's interested in doing music, don't hesitate to inbox me, send me a message, hashtag CP3, Google me, it'll come up, and send it to us. We see what we can do. We interview artists all the time. But as always, another great show. DC Sports by the Politics. It's not just a catchphrase. It's not just a motto. It's what we do. See you next week.